All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Wednesday, August 13th. We got ourselves a full MLB slate to dive into in today's video like we always do. I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays so that I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, it's absolutely free down in the pinned comment. In terms of how we did yesterday, we do go 4-3. We make a little bit of profit, but that little bit of profit was 0.01 units, not even 0.1 units, 0.01 units. But again, it was profit. Red Sox team total cashes with ease. They have like 14 runs. Jarren Duran comes through over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Vlad hits for us. Manzardo hits a dinger, so that one cashes. The losses come in with the Braves, and our losses yesterday were pretty bad losses, I will say that. Braves, Mets, first 500 gets cooked. Casey Schmidt had 5 hits, runs, and RBIs, including 4 hits. Good call, Ev. And then the Cardinals and Dodgers money line. Man, I would say that is a disappointing one, to say the least. Both of those teams, huge favorites yesterday, neither one of which get the W. Speaking of not getting the W, unfortunately, you know the rules. Got to drop the womp womp on today's ride of the day, or yesterday's ride of the day. Miller Time Gaming here had Max Kepler over 1.5 bases. He did have a hit, just the one base, though, and you can see the ride of the day tracker is now up to date with the loss. It was a good look, 4+ money. I liked the spot, but the Phillies bats just did not seem to come alive yesterday. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, it's simple. Just use that hashtag ride of the day or ROTD down in the comments, and I jump on board with one person's play each and every day. Give you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. If you win, we continue to roll and ride with your plays. Let's get some bangers down in the comments with the hashtag ride of the day today. Let's get back on the win streak, because now we've had a couple days in a row of a couple L's that we've taken. But all right, guys, what do you say we go ahead and dive into game number 1? Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and like I said, let me know your favorite plays down in the comments. Let's jump into it. We got Kansas City taking on the Nats. This one's a weird one, just like yesterday, in the sense that I understand that this Kansas City team is way better. I'd say they have the pitching advantage with Seth Lugo on the mound going up against Jake Irvin. I'd say they're the better offense and the better bullpen. So Kansas City is better in all 3 facets that we look at right there. That being said, I still don't think that I'm comfortable with them at -185 to -190. So it would only be the Nationals for me. And the only reason that, I still feel okay saying that, even though I don't think that we have the cojones to roll that ourselves, it's just a lean here. Seth Lugo really does have his struggles and has had his struggles this year against lefty bats. I mean, the first 5 bats he'll probably see are lefties, whether it's Wood, Abrams, Garcia, Bell, Lowe, or Lau. There's a lot of lefty and some lefty power bats in that lineup, so maybe there are some runs that kind of come from the National side of things. I still do lean to the under, because I'm not going to say that the Nationals are going to put up 10 runs today. You know what I mean? So I think both these offenses have had their struggles. Kansas City, yes, looked pretty good in their last couple games here offensively. 7 runs, 8 runs scored, but we've seen their offense kind of go up and down, and I think it's about time they have a low-ish scoring game in this series. Yeah, so these are both 2 very, very slight leans. It is the starter game here to open up the show, but to me, nothing that I'm like overly thrilled with. It's just that the price for Kansas City is way too high, so I ultimately end up leaning towards, obviously, the Nationals simply because of that. Let's move on to the next one. All right, next up, we have the Brew Crew taking on the Pirates here. That was obviously a spot in which we probably should have jumped on board and followed our gut yesterday, right? We liked the Brewers that close to pulling the trigger. They won 14-0. They did get to Skeens early, which is crazy. That is how good this Brewers team is right now, that they're getting to Paul freaking Skeens. So let's give some credit where it's due, pumping some crowd noise for the Brewers. Today, I do think that this is probably a spot for them. Again, I'm going to lean towards the Brewers team total over and Isaac Collins over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs, and I'll tell you why here. We have Woodruff on the mound, who's been very good this year, both good against lefties and righties, obviously going up against a Pittsburgh lineup that we don't really expect to score. He's facing Mitch Keller, and Mitch Keller I don't think is in the best of positions here. His numbers against this Brewers lineup, so the actual guys that make up the lineup today, are not all that great. 88 plate appearances against, a 9.1% walk rate, does have a 23% K rate, but an average against of 346, an expected batting average against of 336, a WOBA of 411, and an expected WOBA of 392. Not exactly the best things that you're looking at, right? So I expect the Brewers to score some runs here. They've been averaging 7.5 runs per game over their last 10. So yeah, it's not that crazy to expect them to score some runs. I do worry, and I always say this in these videos, did they use all their runs up yesterday? I don't know, but for plus 105 right now, over 4.5 isn't that crazy. For minus 165, over 3.5 seems like, dare I say, a lock, but still, I do think that could be a parlay piece today. The Brewers going out there and putting up a decent number. In terms of that Isaac Collins play, check this out over on Outlier, guys, and I'll toss up this Outlier QR code if you guys do want to sign up. You get a 7-day free trial to the tool that I'm showing you right now. After that trial, it's not like a big old gotcha. Just $19.99 per month afterwards. If you want to get the EV, the boost, the arbitrage, and the middling, some profitable tools there, yeah, it's going to cost a little extra, but everything we're looking at from this player prop standpoint and anything above it, $19.99. We've been working with Outlier for years. Literally one of my favorite partners out there. Go check it out. Link down in the description as well as the pinned comment. Or if you're watching on your TV, you want to take a screenshot on your phone, check out that QR code, 7 days free. So Isaac Collins, over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs, looking pretty damn good as of late, right? On the season, it doesn't look as good. At home, also doesn't look as good. But again, this Brewers team is just red hot. So let's kind of look at it more recently. I love the fact he's going up against a righty in Mitch Keller. You can see this. Batting average jumps to 322 against righties. WRC plus 155.5. How about that, right? Mitch Keller struggles against lefty bats. That's good to see. His WOBA jumps up 326 against lefty bats. Now, this is where it gets a little dicey. And when I say a little dicey, I just mean a little, okay? The fastball, don't necessarily love that his WOBA dips. You can even see here on the heat map, Mitch Keller keeps it up and away. He likes it down and in. Okay. The slider he hits well, 453 WOBA. The slider kind of matches in terms of the heat map. If Mitch Keller misses a little bit, you know, we could see Collins pop one. The sinker, okay, the WOBA drops again, but now we're looking at the heat map kind of aligning, and we're already down to just 15% of the time there. So, yeah, I do think that maybe, just maybe, the fastball could be what gets us, but I think Isaac Collins here, over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs, could be a fairly decent look overall. And again, the Brewers team total there, I do think that, you know, if you want to put the 3.5 in a parlay too, I think that's going to be a nice little value piece today. This team is just red hot. If they go out there and score 2 runs, so be it. I mean, at some point they will come down to earth a little bit, but why not try and capitalize while they're on freaking Mars? And guys, like I mentioned, go ahead and check out Outlier. Again, you got a QR code there, I'll put the link down in the description, as well as the pinned comment, whatever's easiest. No code needed. You just need to use the link. You'll get that 7 days free. So go ahead and check out Outlier, one of my favorite player prop research tools on the market for all sports, not just MLB. Obviously, we're there now, but if you're a WNBA bettor, they got you hooked up. MLB is in full swing. NFL's coming around the corner. Go check out Outlier. Let's continue with these games. All right, next up, we have the White Sox taking on the Tigers. White Sox get the dub yesterday. They win that one 9-6. Yeah, kind of interesting. They have like an opener type day, right? Jack Flaherty does not look all that great. Today could be a little bit different, or could be a little bit of the same. We have Shane Smith listed as the starter for the White Sox. He's going up against Keider Montero as the listed starter here for the Tigers. I would say Shane Smith has been pretty good. I mean, he's not going to pitch deep into games, okay? The White Sox aren't going to use his arm up that much. He's probably going to give you 4 or 5 innings of 1 or 2 earned run baseball, which is okay. And I don't think these Detroit bats are too, like, punishing right now, so maybe that would be all right. I do ultimately end up leaning towards the White Sox just because you're getting plus 120 odds. I think this is somewhat of a 50-50 type of a spot between these two teams. I'm not the biggest Montero fan or anything like that, but I don't want to pay with him on the mound, you know, a minus 130 or beyond type price. So if you're on the Tigers today and you've kind of come to grips with the odds, then yeah, throw out what I say about, you know, the White Sox or Shane Smith. I do think the Tigers, you know, have a good chance to win this game. But I think the White Sox, again, 50-50 type shot here. Detroit team total under or the full game under could be something that I think we agree with, even if you like the Tigers today. I could easily see this being a like 5-3 or 4-3 type of a game. That's why I have it keyed there at the under 9. There are some 9s out there. Most places consensus it's 8.5, but if you can snag a 9, I don't necessarily mind it. This is a, you know, an early getaway game. Depending on the flow of this game, I could easily see a low scoring game to start off and then them saying, all right, let's just get through this and sleepwalk through it to kind of get home, right? So give me the White Sox because of the odds, but then the team total under as well as that under 9 as potential spots just due to the situation that we have on hand here with this being the last of the series. And I think Detroit goes to play Minnesota next and the White Sox go to play Kansas City next. And I do not believe, I don't know, I know the White Sox have a day off. I'm not sure about Detroit though. All right, we got we got the St. Louis Cardinals, not the Arizona Cardinals. They did not switch sports, taking on Colorado here. Can we just get a nice womp for the Cards yesterday? I mean, they put up 0 runs. Even in this series, they've put up 3 in that first win. Going up against Austin Gomber today, I hope, or would expect, I should say, them to be able to hit him. He's really, really struggled. And this is I keep saying Arizona. This is a St. Louis team that has been hitting lefties. Now, did they yesterday? No, you know, Kyle Freeland went, I think, almost 8 innings against them. So, sure, you could use that and it blows up in my face, but to me, it's still a spot to potentially, and now I'm seriously thinking potentially, right? Yesterday, I liked this spot. How'd that turn out? Cardinals team total over would be the only thing I look at because even though you're looking at a minus 220 team, you know, I still do think that there's somewhat of value on the Cards trying to hit a lefty. So, yes, like I said, minus 220, we're not going to be looking at the money line. I don't really trust the Rockies. Even, you know, yesterday, it's like, yeah, they won. They've only put up 2 runs and 3 runs, so I don't want to look at the full game over. I think that this is a spot in which the Cardinals say, okay, screw it. Can we finally kind of just put up a respectable number? Because the offense hasn't been all that tremendous, right? And if we use outlier, we can look at it here in terms of them against lefties and their team total over. So if we go to their runs and say you want to look at over 4.5, right? They've really, really been struggling with that. On the season, been struggling with that. Against lefties, against lefties, struggling with that. Lefties at home and struggling with that. But I still would say they're hovering right around kind of breaking out, right? So 5 runs against a Rocky squad looks like a tall task. It is, trust me. But overall, it's probably the only thing that we look at in this one because that minus 220 is just a little bit far-fetched. We also do have, I would say, some decent spots. William Contreras, I think, could have a good game today. Sagasi in the back half of that order as well. So maybe we do see a couple big innings that at least help contribute to that. But man, oh man, we dropped the womp on this St. Louis team. Like, it's pretty damn crazy the way that they're batting lately for all the wrong reasons. All right, Rangers taking on the Diamondbacks. I'll sound the psycho alert alarm here because while we do have Zach Gallen in the DNB graveyard, okay, it's Joe Adell, Gallen, and Swanson right now in the DNB graveyard. I am thinking of leaning towards the Diamondbacks first 5 today. Not thinking of leaning towards them. I've leaned towards them, all right? I'm leaning that way. Thinking of actually rolling with it as a final play for a few different reasons here. So it's Zach Gallen versus Merrill Kelly. Merrill Kelly going up against his old squad, so we like that. The way that I would even back Gallen today potentially could just be a first 5 under, so we don't need to worry about, you know, the Diamondbacks scoring or Merrill Kelly getting got, anything like that. But I do think that we have some favorable odds on the Arizona side of things today. And yes, there are a few different games today where I've said the same thing, like, oh, the odds just kind of make me lean in that direction. And that is the case. I think this one could be somewhat of a low-scoring game through the first 5, giving the Diamondbacks the chance to go out there and score. And let's face it, Merrill Kelly did not look good in that. Was that his second start for Texas? It was against Philadelphia, I'll give you that, but 4 1/3, 5 hits, 4 earned. He had more walks than strikeouts. He had 5 walks, 2 home runs let up. He's obviously a very good pitcher, and I'm not trying to take that much away from him, but the trend, you know, maybe not heading in the right direction, whereas Zach Gallen finally has 2 decent starts in a row. Now they're against the Athletics, which you could make the argument that the Athletics were a good offense at the time. He did allow 9 base runners on, but pitched 6 innings of 2 earned baseball. And then against Colorado, 6 innings of 1 earned baseball. He had 6 strikeouts. So Gallen might be, you know, moving in the right direction. Hopefully, because I've backed this guy for 2 years now, and this year it's really blown up in my face. But he's been trustworthy on the road to some degree. 1.2 whip, you could take that. 252 average against, you could take that. 22 strikeout rate in terms of percent versus a 6.3% walk rate, and a ground ball to fly ball rate at 1.3. So I think Zach Gallen can get through 5 innings here. you'd at least hope so, right? In terms of his career numbers against this Texas roster, so the actual lineup, the guys that he'll see, 128 plate appearances, a decent sample size, right? 28.1% K rate, 7% walk rate, an average against of 222, a WOBA against of 262. So hoping that Zach Gallen can kind of keep it under wraps today because he has had his struggles. But then on the Merrill Kelly side of things, I think that he could pitch fairly well in this spot as well, right? He's going to give you the cutter and changeup. Those can be two really, really good pitches against this Arizona squad. So yeah, Diamondbacks first 5, I wouldn't go full game because of that bullpen. Same thing with the under, wouldn't go full game because of that bullpen on Arizona side of things. And then Kyle Higashioka. Nailed that last name. Over 0.5 hits. I love his pitch mix rating today. We took him in one of our sleeper slips that we shouted out over on Instagram yesterday, and he came through for us with a hit yesterday as well. So yeah, a few different plays in this one. Feel like we talked a lot about it. I like the plus money behind Arizona, but I think that first 5 may be what we really do look at in terms of the under. All right, Giants taking on San Diego. San Diego's won both games so far in this series, 4-1 and then 5-1. So we do have, obviously, the pitching advantage on the San Diego side of things, by the way. It's Nick Pivetta versus Kai-Wei Tang. Pivetta, I would definitely put my trust in over the young pitcher here. But, and it's worth noting, Pavetta's coming off of a game, 6 innings pitched, 5 earned against the Red Sox, just 3 strikeouts, 3 walks. So is he going to kind of round back into form? I'd like to think so. Before that, it was 1-2, 1-0 earned runs through 6 2/3, 6 innings, 6 1/3, 7 innings. So the Red Sox, obviously a very good offense now. It seems like they're putting double digits up against everybody. Is worth kind of giving a little bit of a leash, right? On the other side of things, Wei Tang or Kai-Wei Tang, not exactly someone that I fully want to trust. So for me, it's going to be the Padres, but also maybe a peek at their team total over. You guys know me, if you don't, I don't like kind of accounting for sweeps here. And if they do win this, this would be a sweep. And throw in the fact that the next series the Padres play is at the Dodgers, a rival. So this probably would be one of those really weird, wonky ones where it's like, yeah, everything points to the Padres. Better offense, better starter, better bullpen. Yet somehow the Giants are going to win like 4-1, you know what I mean? So maybe this is like, if you like that idea, maybe an under or maybe even Giants team total under could be something to consider. But everything that I'm looking at, and if we put it in a vacuum and take out the fact that it's a sweep, take out the fact that the Padres are about to play the Dodgers, this should be a Padres spot. Starting pitching advantage, offensive advantage, as well as obviously the bullpen advantage too, because San Diego's got the best bullpen in the league right now, and they're not taxed. All right, we got the Reds taking on the Phillies. Obviously, the Reds kind of get the better of them yesterday. Philadelphia's offense really didn't show up. It was a 6-1 win for the Reds. Today, we have Chris Sanchez on the bump. He's going up against Hunter Green. Yes, Hunter Green, who we have not seen since, I think it was early June, which if you have kind of just tuned into baseball, Hunter Green to start the year was like a shoo-in for the Cy Young the way that he was pitching. He'd been looking really good, a below 1 whip, a sub 3 ERA, looking fantastic. That said, he's going up against Chris Sanchez, who is right up there for Cy Young, you know what I mean? I think that this is probably a spot in which I'm willing to trust the Phillies a little bit more and trust Chris Sanchez a little bit more. Throw in the fact that we're coming off of a loss last night for them. Yeah, this is going to be all Phillies for me. Chris Sanchez should be able to get the job done and hand it off to those late inning guys in the bullpen, in which I think that we'd have an advantage of. But if you don't like the Phillies, maybe just to peek at either an under or Cincinnati team total under. Like if you kind of worry about the bats of the the Phillies, I'm not worrying about it because, like we even talked about yesterday, there's a lot of good bats on the left side in this Phillies lineup. Even when Hunter Green was firing, right, and he was out there, he had a little bit of a weak spot there against lefty bats. So boom, you know what I mean? Like he's coming back from injury. Now all of a sudden he's going up against one of the better offenses in the league. Like I do think that he's fantastic and he's a filthy pitcher. But this just screams Philly spot. And then throw in the fact that, oh, would you look at that? They have their, honestly, new ace on the mound. I feel like Chris Sanchez said, move over, Zach Wheeler. It's Chris Sanchez time. Still love me some Zach Wheeler, though. But Phillies and the Cincinnati team total under would definitely be something to consider. I think that Phillies play, you can get it for -123 right now. I honestly think that that's going to be a spot that we heavily consider in terms of a final play. All right, Orioles taking on the Mariners. If you guys missed that game yesterday, we saw 8 innings out of Kramer. I think it was 7 and change, maybe just 7 out of George Kirby, and a 1-0 win for Seattle. A pretty damn good one there. And what's funny, that one run came the top of the first inning. So that was pretty cool to check in and out of, just a kind of a pitcher's duel there. And the one run was literally in the beginning of the game. Today, I would say odds based, and we got comments yesterday, some guppies commenting being like, that doesn't even make sense. Yes, it does, when I say that I do still think the Orioles might be the spot here because of the odds, right? When you think about it, guys, if you're pricing something out to be 50-50, and, you know, technically with Jews, that'd be minus 110, minus 105, whatever you want it to be, and you're getting a plus number on one side of things, that ultimately ends up being the side of the value. It doesn't mean that I think Baltimore has a better chance to win. I'm saying that it has just as good of a chance of hitting as the Mariners winning, but you're getting plus value for the other side of things. So that's kind of a quick way of explaining what I mean when I say that. But chill in the comments with the aggressiveness, jeez. But anyways, Orioles, same boat today. They have Trevor Rogers on the mound, who's obviously been absolutely filthy. He's got a 1 flat ERA over his last 5 starts. On the season, he's got a 1.4 ERA. At home, I believe it's 0.42 whip, if I'm not mistaken, which seems like a typo, but no. A 0.086 average against. The guy's been fantastic at home. So I think that, you know, him going up against Logan Gilbert, who's been very good this year but struggled on the road, gives the Orioles a little bit of something here from the starting pitching side of things. Now, Seattle's bullpen's way better, and you could make the argument the offense is way better, so sure. But I do like the idea of both these pitchers. I think that that's the biggest advantage on both sides here, pitcher versus offense. So I like the first 3 under as well as the first 5 under. I think these guys can go in there and kind of shut down. Do I feel a little nervous now that there's a logjam of runs yesterday? Sure, to some degree, right? Like, they just went 8 innings, and the Orioles went 9 innings of no scoring. They're probably rearing to go today, but still, this should be another really good pitching matchup. So give me that first 3 and first 5 under. Maybe we split our money between the two, that we can kind of like diversify our portfolio there. But Orioles, in terms of the odds, I do still think that the Mariners are a viable option today if you do like them, but I like the plus money behind the Orioles, but that under is definitely something that I'm considering. I think we have rain potentially here today as well, but then wind blowing out, so thinking maybe hopefully that cancels out some strong winds blowing out. We'll see. Let's see some swing and misses from these pitchers. Guys, FYI, there's only a few more days of the deal we're running for the dashboard. So this is the Guy Boston Sports dashboard. It's found over on GuyBostonSports.com. Head to the members area, sign up today. If you use code DASH, and that's the deal I'm talking about, DASH, spelling bee champ, you'll get your first month for just $2.99, less than $3. After that, it's $6.99 per month. So still really, really, really worth it. I know, I see the comments all the time. I could be charging more for this and whatnot, but as of right now, that is the price. You have pitching data, you have bullpen data, we have pitch mix data, batting data for the last 30 days. We have batting for the last 30 days against specific pitches. You can marry that up with the pitch mix data, right? We even have it down to the player, and these lineups change as the lineups change throughout the day, from average versus the hand they'll see, and OPS versus the hand they'll see. We have our pitch mix rating, which is our own algorithm that says how well this guy should see the pitches, and, you know, is it a good or bad spot for him in a sense, down to that runs above average against all the specific pitches. So guys, go ahead and check it out. Again, it's GuyBostonSports.com, the MLB dashboard right here in the members area. Use code DASH. You get it for $2.99 in your first month. I keep telling you, the coolest thing about this tool is that we keep making changes to it and keep making it better. Whatever price you do get in at, you're locked in at that price, which is good, because if we decide to up it a little bit or, you know, change the price, you guys still have the cheaper price as long as that subscription stays active. So head over to GuyBostonSports.com/members, head to that members area and sign up using code DASH today. This is an unbelievable tool. I built it for myself originally so that I could get all the information as quick as possible and as efficiently as possible in an optimized format so we could make these videos. Now we're bringing it to you guys. So go check it out on GuyBostonSports.com. All right, Guardians taking on the Marlins here. We have Yuri Perez on the mound going up against Gavin Williams. So I do think we have 2 serviceable pitchers. Yuri Perez coming off of, honestly, one of his worst starts in a while against Atlanta. 5 1/3, 7 hits, 5 earned, just 1 strikeout. Obviously a guy that usually is kind of in the 5-6 range for strikeouts, so 1 strikeout, not so great. Gavin Williams has looked very, very good. Last 4 starts, 1, 2, 0, 1 earned run across 7, 6, 6, and 8 2/3 innings. I do kind of give credence to the fact that, you know, Miami's on the road and Yuri Perez is on the road and all that. So to me, this is still a spot in which, even though there's a I'd say a massive starting pitching advantage in a sense. I shouldn't say massive, actually. But in terms of talent-wise, big starting pitching advantage for the Marlins. I still think that Guardians are in a little bit better of a spot here because Gavin Williams is at home. He's been far better at home this year. And this is just a Guardians team that I think is a little bit better put together. Like Miami, as much as we enjoyed them and how good they looked against the Yankees, like I even mentioned in yesterday's video, right? They've still kind of looked blah recently. So I do like the Guardians. More so, I like the idea of both these pitchers pitching fairly well. So first 3 or first 500 could be good to go. But Manzardo, the guy that cashed for us yesterday, he looks pretty damn good in terms of his pitch mix. And then Jacob Marseille on the other side of things, over 0.5 bases. I think Manzardo right now you can get for over 0.5 bases, and that beats his over 0.5 hits, which when it's 0.5, it's essentially the exact same thing. So get the bases if you get the better price. And then Marseille's the opposite. I have 0.5 bases on the screen, but for minus 120, you can actually get over 0.5 hits. And realistically, what I like here is Marcy, boom, good pitch mix rating against what he's going to see out of Gavin Williams. And then same thing with Kyle Manzardo. We look at him. He's been absolutely crushing it lately. 4 yesterday in terms of total bases. He did have the one hit. It was a home run. He's been absolutely crushing it. And then Marcy, yeah, you can even see the odds here, ready? So for hits, minus 154. For total bases, minus 150. Still a lot of juice, but still worth it. For hits, minus 124. For total bases, minus 130. So you're getting a little bit of the discount, even though it means the same thing. The dude has been crushing it. He's really, really good against the right-handed pitching, which Gavin Williams is. Same thing for Manzardo against Yuri Perez. So I think both these guys could get a hit today. So maybe that's what we do here, because obviously there is some credence to saying that Miami has a good starter on the mound, and maybe he gives them a really good chance of, being able to compete in this one. So I think I actually like those player props as I talk about it. I like those player props more than I do either the Guardians or the first 3 or first 5 under. So maybe we see a little bit of action on those two. All right, we got the Yanks taking on the Twins. Yankees win yesterday 9-1. We almost pulled the trigger on Yankees -1. I didn't see the true ultimate value. I think it was like -165 by the time we looked at it. Obviously, retrospect, hindsight being like, oh, we wish we did. But nonetheless, Yankees, Twins today. I think we have a good pitching matchup. We have Cam Schlittler on the mound. Yes, because I'm starting to become a fan of him. I'm starting to like how to say his name, or know how to say his name, I should say. Liking how to say his name is kind of weird. Joe Ryan's on the other side of things. Guys, I don't know if we are just seeing the same thing over and over in these games, but yet again, I like the first 3 and first 5 under. Let me know in the comments. I guess you can comment 26 too, because this is a nice little comment spot of the day. Am I pigeonholing myself too much? Because I already have multiple first 3/first 5 unders that I like today. And I feel like if this is an over type of day across the league, we're screwed. But again, try not to factor that in, putting everything in a vacuum. I get it. But yeah, let me know in the comments. Do you think we're pigeonholing ourselves? Because there's a lot of first 3 and first 5 unders that we mentioned today. The reason I like this, and if we want to use our dashboard here, Schlittler, who hasn't been obviously great from a statistics standpoint, even though we called his first 3 under last time out, throws a ton of fastballs, 58%. Look at that. Minnesota does not hit this fastball well. Buxton, Wallner, Jeffers, Clemens, the guys that are still on the lineup that you worry about, all do not hit the fastball very well, and the pitch mix ratings that we have for them aren't all that great. You flip it over to Joe Ryan. First off, we should be able to trust him anyways, but same thing. Fastball is going to be the main pitch. Yankees still struggling against the fastball. The pitch mix rating across here, not all that great. They're not hitting righties all that fantastically, so I think both these pitchers should be okay to go out there and give us 3 innings and hopefully 5 of decent baseball. Cam Schlittler is no schlouts, okay? He's been giving you 5 innings of 2 earned. In almost since since June, you could say, right? Or since July. And any team would take a guy, in the middle or back half of that order to give you 5 innings of 2 earned, right? Joe Ryan obviously is an absolute stud, so I don't see any reason why a lot of runs come in here. The only argument that I'd give credence to is that if this Yankees offense is heating up, which last 2 games, 6 runs, 9 runs, then I worry about it, because obviously the names in that lineup are pretty damn scary, right? Judge, Bellinger, Chisholm. I don't think Stanton's in there, right? But McMahon, I get it if that's your take, but I think that that's just one little portion. I still do lean towards the Yankees because I think that their offense is just 10 times better than the Twins right now. But if you're backing Joe Ryan today for plus money, again, another thing where I kind of see that side. But that first 3 and first 5 under are really looking good to me, and I just hope we're not for whatever reason, our eyes and brain are seeing first 3 and first 5s under today and just mesmerized by them. I'm hoping that we're actually finding something, because if this is an over type of a day, you're going to be hearing the womp womp tomorrow, because there's a lot of those unders that I like. But is what it is. Let's keep going. All right, Toronto taking on the Cubs. I'm sure a lot of us look at yesterday and be like, wow, that was foolish to not take Toronto, right? They end up winning, was it 5-1? Today we have Cade Horton on the bump for the Cubs going up against Kevin Gausman. The Gauze is on the bump. He's been better on the road than at home this year, but realistically, he's still probably the spot to look at, and he gives Toronto a massive advantage. This is a Cade Horton that's really struggled on the road, so regardless of what we say about Kevin Gausman, it's almost like anything you can do, I can do worse for Horton, and Gausman's been pretty damn good against lefties, which is good. I mean, he's got a .9, I think it's .92 whip against lefties this year. Obviously, some of those power bats, PCA, Michael Busch, Tucker, are all lefties in that lineup. So I like the idea of Toronto today. I don't mind the idea of at some point this Cubs team kind of starting to score some runs and all that. So I also lean over, but maybe it's just safer to go Toronto team total over. Let's get to that Cubs bullpen that's kind of been all over the place. Let's get to Cade Horton, and Toronto can just kind of snap back to where they were just a week ago. Like, we don't need to put too much weight into that Dodgers series. This is still one of, if not the best offense in the league over the last 30 days. So maybe just a Toronto team total over. Boom, we're good to go. One spot that I feel like we got burned. Yesterday we had Lee Perfido, right? Or Low Perfido, over 0.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. He gets scratched, so it doesn't go through. We got that at -120. Today I like it even more, but it's -165, and I don't know if it's worth that juice, but that is a slight player prop. It's not on the screen, but that's also something that I'd be considering today. But I am very curious. I know I just asked you guys to give me some feedback in the comments about the first 5. I'm really curious about this series and this game. So let me know your thoughts for this Toronto and Cubs game, because I do think that the Cubs just aren't playing good baseball right now, but we don't really, or I should say we shouldn't really act like this is not a very good lineup, right? Busch, Tucker, Suzuki, PCA, at the end of that, Shaw, Horner, and Swanson, like Ian Happson, they're like, this is still such a really good team. They just haven't been showing it. So yeah, I'm liking Toronto today, but I'm curious to see what you guys think, because plus money for a team like the Cubs, you don't get that very often for sure. Mets taking on the Braves yesterday. The Mets get the monkey off their back. They had lost, 8 games in a row and a million of their last, 15? Million of their last 15. But they win yesterday 13-5. Yeah, we said Spencer Strider could go out there and pitch fairly well, and it looked like it for one inning, and then they just got to him. So it's tough. Gallen, Strider, some of these guys that have just been my guys just have not looked great. Now, Strider, obviously, coming off the injury, so I guess he has a little bit of an excuse. But nonetheless, in this one, we thought Spencer Strider got hit up. We have Carlos Carrasco on the bump for the Braves. So I think that this is a spot in which we could say Mets team total over. In fact, let's just check Outlier real quick to even see what we can get here for a number there, because obviously I have a feeling it's going to be pretty damn crazy in terms of odds. So Mets team total, if we're looking at -133. We can't act like they'd been doing it, right? Like, look at their last 20. They've been pretty sporadic there. Now, at home, a little bit worse at it. That's tough. It's tough. I still lean Mets team total over, but David Peterson to record a win. In fact, let's jump back into Outlier and see if we can get the odds on that. These are two things that are obviously very slight leans, but I don't have the odds up in front of me. But that's the beauty of Outlier, because you can go in here and just kind of find it, right? So let's see. For him to record and it doesn't look like we even have that line available, but under 2.5 earned, super juiced. Yeah, I guess I don't think that there's all that much to be able to kind of get in terms of value. Carrasco stinks. Everything on the Mets side is going to be pretty damn juiced, and David Peterson is a way better pitcher, so everything on his side is going to be pretty damn juiced. I'll keep an eye on maybe him to record a win. I do think that that could be something that we consider. Also, over 4.5 strikeouts. That could be a spot to consider as well. Even though he's not a massive strikeout guy, this isn't the best Braves team. Last 30 days, 7th most strikeouts in the MLB. All right, we got the Stros taking on the Red Sox, and ultimately and unfortunately, I do think that I lean Astros today and their team total over. This Red Sox team is real tough to fade. I do get it, okay? In terms of their offense. It's not like they're absolutely torching teams, though, right? They lost that series against San Diego, lost game 1 of this series, and now we have Hunter freaking Brown on the mound going up against Walker Buehler. For -144, I think we got it at money line odds. Come on, right? So I'm leaning towards the Astros. Yes, it's a fade of my favorite team, but it might actually be a final play here today. I love this Red Sox team. They are one of the most fun teams to watch in the league. But even when the Red Sox beat Hunter Brown last time out, he went 7 innings, 1 earned run, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk with, I believe it was 3 or 4 hits. and the Red Sox won 2-1, right? Like, he still pitched fantastic against them. Now, what you could make an argument, and I'll give you this, would be that Walker Buehler's coming off of his best start as a Red Sox, right? 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 0 earned, 4 strikeouts against a good offense like San Diego. So maybe, just maybe, he's turning things around. But to me, this is an Astros spot as well as their team total over. I think that there's a few guys in the lineup with some decent pitch mix ratings against Walker Buehler, named Jose Altuve and Carlos Correa. Yikes, right? So give me that. If you do think the Red Sox are going to get to Hunter Brown, which might even be crazy to say, but who knows? They've been getting a lot of good pitchers. Astros team total over probably is the more, isolated variables thing. But I almost think in this case, Hunter Brown's one of the biggest pieces of this game, right? So I like them on the money line. Maybe we split our money and do both. We've been doing that a lot today. First 3, first 5. We like the idea of Astros and their team total. Let's split whatever we're throwing onto both of those and, do it that way. So keep an eye on the final plays. I say it with a frown. I think that we could be all over the Astros today. That stinks. All right, Angels taking on the Dodgers, and my oh my. Feel kind of weird saying my oh my. That didn't really flow off the tongue, but my oh my, the Angels win another one against this Dodger squad. That is now 6 straight wins that the little brother has taken and thrown an uppercut to the big brother there. I would say that the Dodgers -1's probably what I look at today. We have Shohei against Kyle Hendricks, but nothing has made sense so far. You know what I mean? Nothing has made sense in this, but you do have Shohei against his old team pitching. Maybe that's a little added motivation. He's got all the scandal and whatnot kind of circulating about. Maybe that's motivation. Shohei could go out there and shove. He's still Shohei. Kyle Hendricks, 93 plate appearances against this current roster that makes up the Dodgers, which if you haven't noticed or you just started to tune into baseball, you probably think these guys stink. They're still pretty damn good in terms of the names. 11.8% K rate. That's not great. 15.1% walk rate. That's terrible. An average against of 338, a WOBA against of 426, and an expected WOBA of 430, and an expected slugging 551. Why should we not see the Dodgers put up some runs today? I'll tell you why, because they are just the Dodgers right now, and they are just absolutely imploding. So, yes, they did score some runs yesterday. Was it 6, and they lost an extra, so sure. But this team is not looking good. But to me, still, you look at everything, and it's like, there's no way I can get to the Angels, even though they just keep crushing them. So, Dodgers -1's probably what we end up taking a peek at. In terms of the updated odds for that one, I want to say it's still going to be pretty damn juiced. -167. That's a lot. For the way they've been playing, it's probably worth staying away, but that's what I lean towards. All right, last but not least, A's taking on Tampa Bay. Jacob Lopez looks good yesterday. He goes 7 innings. Now, Shane Baz pitched 7 innings as well, but he kind of got picked at throughout that. You know what I mean? In terms of the Athletic scoring runs, they win 6-0. Another one where I was like, so damn close to pulling the trigger on the under, couldn't get there. Today, even though there is a strong pitching advantage on the Tampa Bay side of things, I definitely think this Athletics offense is like 10x what Tampa Bay is doing lately. So I'm going to lean towards the Athletics. The only thing that I do have somewhat of concern with is the fact that JT Ginn here is going to be throwing the sinker, and that's a pitch that the Tampa Bay Rays are actually hitting. It's the only pitch, in fact, that they're hitting, and a couple of the guys in the meat of that order, Yandy Diaz and Junior Caminero, ever heard of them? They hit the sinker really well. So sure, you do have a starting pitching advantage in Rasmussen. You probably have the bullpen advantage, and maybe if you get this pitch a lot, you have some advantages there, but to me, this is the overwhelming factor. The fact that you have literally maybe arguably, debatably, the worst lineup in baseball right now in terms of scoring runs, going up against one that just seems to be a little bit more consistent. So if you're getting plus money, I'd lean towards the Athletics, but I don't think that it's going to be, I think like one of these teams will not do well offensively. So an under 9.5 seems like it could make a little bit of sense. Does that make sense? Like maybe we have a game like yesterday where, yeah, the A's dropped 6 and you're probably like biting your nails being like, oh, this is going to be a sweat. But the Rays scored 0. Something similar. If it's inverse, sure. But I think that only one of these offenses looks good today. We'll see who it is. But guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, get those hashtag ride of the days down below. And again, make sure to go ahead and check out Outlier. You can scan that QR code, link in the description as well as the pinned comment, as well as checking out our dashboard, GuyBostonSports.com. Pair those tools together, and man, you're cooking with fire. Go check it out. We'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.